Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside the 2026 NFL Draft. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, April 22, 2026. And this right here, the thing that you are watching, well, it's called Strictly Football here on the Unhappy Hour. And of course, that's brought to you by the New American Media. Thank you so much for being here. On today's show, we are going to get into it. We're going to do a mock draft of the 2026 NFL Draft. Mike Bara, Jim Mitchell are going to kind of zone in, key in on their defending Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. Ez'Ryel Robinson is going to focus on his Dallas Cowboys. Of course, I am laser focused on what the Cleveland Browns need. And we're going to look at the other teams in between and see how it plays out. See if we can get a perfect draft. They say trying to get a perfect first round draft prediction is tougher than getting a 64, a sweet 64. The March Madness bracket, getting that perfect. I don't know if that's accurate, but because of the trades, you just can't really anticipate how it's going to shake out. But those are the things we're going to discuss on today's show. So hit the thumbs up button, share this show with your football friends, invite them in, because Strictly Football, brought to you by the Unhappy Hour on the New American Media. Well, that starts right now.
Hi, this is Eric Metcalf, and you're watching the Unhappy Hour.
New American Media is proud to present a division of the Unhappy Hour sports show, Strictly Football.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
Thank you all so very much for being here. Let's welcome in Mr. Mike Bara.
How you doing?
Living the dream. Of course, he is the fan of the reigning Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that awesome to say? Well, it's awesome for me to say, and it has only happened a couple times, and it's still fun. It's still exciting in spite of the flaws that our team has engaged in the off season. But we'll talk about that, I suppose, when the Seahawks comes up.
Yeah, well, actually, I heard because you won the Super Bowl, you're going to donate your draft picks to some less fortunate teams.
That's not true, actually.
That's not true. Oh, darn it. Well, Jim, that's the rumor I heard. Welcome to the program, Jim Mitchell, everybody.
Oh, I didn't know that. Are they Super Bowl champions?
Yeah.
Oh no! Look at that.
Yeah. Well, can't you tell? It says Super Bowl champions, and it says Super Bowl champions USA 250 and 50th anniversary victory.
So much swag, so much gear from these guys. They know how to celebrate. Izzy, how your Cowboys doing?
Yo.
The Super Bowl in your lifetime.
And two teams that haven't won a Super Bowl in their lifetimes. The Cleveland Browns. We're the Cleveland Browns.
One guy's twice the age as me and a little more, so I still hopefully got some time. Yeah. It's looking good. I mean, 2 first-round draft picks. I hope we do good. We usually do good with our first round draft pick, so I'm not that
the thing is, guys,
hesitant or anything.
There's nothing like winning it finally. There's just nothing like that, and it's a great feeling, and it's we've been lucky twice now. We should have won it 4 times, but we only got 2. So, the gods and the refs on a couple of occasions didn't want it to go that way. So hopefully you guys will experience that.
Well, they wanted Jerome Bettis to win his Super Bowl in his home.
Well, they did. That was kind of an important thing, to tag Leopold. So yeah. Well, so anyway, it's been it's fun. We finally got some football to talk about, and just let everybody know. Yeah, I do have very sorry to hear the death of David Wilcock, a very famous guy in the UFO community. Please don't talk to me about it on this show. I'm going to have plenty to say when I feel better. I've been having some illnesses. but I'm feeling good tonight. So let's stick to football and just have a little fun with the boys here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I pondered asking. I covered it on the TNAM Daily Show, and I pondered asking, like, well, it is strictly football, but it is breaking news. I know you were close with David. David was actually one of my very first on-camera interviews 15 years ago at the 2011 Conscious Life Expo.
Yeah,
I
before
got
he
like Mike Huckabee and David Wilcock within a couple months of each other. I'm like, I should start a thing, and that's
You
when I
should
started
start
New
it.
American Media.
There you
Let's
are.
do a thing.
There you go.
But yeah, Mike, let's talk about that sometime down the road once everything settles out. Yes, Lake Leon pointing out Izzy's hair looking good. Izzy's
Oh yeah, sharp,
and jumping into the chair for us.
Yeah, the cut is
chopped
there.
off. Yeah.
The cut is there. There's no way around it. I mean, it must be nice to actually have hair like that. Jim wouldn't.
My dad tells me the same thing all the time. And before, like, I have it super long, and then I cut it off one day, and he'll be like, "Why'd you cut off such good hair?" It's like blah blah blah. I was like, man.
No, you keep that shit and you put it in bags so they can glue it back on
Yeah.
when you need it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and bounce into this app. We had this idea to do a mock draft, and that's what we're going to do. Let me give you a programming note as well. I fully intend to be live streaming tomorrow for the first round of the draft. I might be live streaming. I might be live selling on Whatnot, doing like football related stuff, kind of having fun with that Whatnot platform, getting used to it. But yeah, I think during the first round, I'm going to be live and we'll talk about the picks and we'll just make it a big hangout. So it's an open invitation to the guys here on Strictly Football if they wanted to jump in. Of course, Mike and Izzy and Jim, if you're not busy at the bar or busy working or doing your other thing, feel free. It's an open invitation, especially maybe after your picks to just bounce in, give us your 60-second take and then bounce back to the bar. Love to hear from you. But it's always a fun time getting into the NFL draft and all the trades and all of the shenanigans that occur. It's almost impossible to chart, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to run through a mock draft here, Mike. So why don't you have the tools?
I will, and I want to let everybody know the draft does start at 8 p.m. Eastern because they've shortened the first round picks a little bit this year, so they figured
Oh, really?
it all. So it starts at 5 Eastern. I think they docked 2 minutes off of it. Instead of 10 minutes, I get 8 minutes to make your pick, which,
It's whatever. Teams take up the whole time.
You should have a pretty good idea what you want to do. And teams said they did not think that it would affect the frequency of trades or the ability to get trades done at the last minute. So there we are.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to use the NFL Pro Football Network mock draft, and what we're going to use. Actually, on the mock draft simulator, I'm going to go back one just to make sure everybody can see this, because this is the way you should do it, is go to the mock draft simulator. What you want to do is you want to select all teams. If you're going to do something similar to this, we're just going to do one round because that's all we have time for. But what's really important here is instead of using some specific guy's draft board, we're going to use the consensus board. And the consensus board is the one that's a combination of Pro Football Sports Network, ESPN, PFF, The Athletic, Jacob and whoever these people are, their consensus board is the one we're going to use. So when we look at player rankings, we're looking at the overall consensus board, which is, I guess I didn't go back to it properly. Let's share this tab instead. Share that tab instead. We're going to look at the consensus board, and there's multiple boards here you could use. This is the aggregate board for how pretty much the biggest names except Mel Kiper select. So that's where we're at. So that's what we're going to do. Okay.
Awesome.
Give this a shot.
So we're going to start with one round mock. And we're going to enter a solo draft. All the teams are picked. I don't have any skin in the game. I think our Browns are up 6, so they're up early. We're going to make sure Brian gets that. Izzy's going to get the 2 Cowboys picks. Brian gets the 2 Brown picks. And me and Jim are just going to kind of go back and forth about who we want, who we think the Seahawks should pick. And I will say this: if you would like to try to do a trade, gentlemen, you can make an offer to another team in a trade, and I believe the software will either accept or reject the trade, and you can try
wow.
permutations of that if you feel like you want to trade up. But
Okay. I would
but-
like to trade. I would like to trade up to number 1 with the Cleveland Browns.
yeah.
Can I make an offer?
Let's be realistic.
Would you
No, I'm
like
gonna
me
be
to make an
realistic.
offer? I will make an offer.
Thank you.
For the Browns to do that.
Does that mean you want 6 quarterbacks on your roster, Brian?
Yeah.
I would like to trade the farm for Mendoza. Yes. So
All
let's
right.
offer everything we can.
That's why you're not a GM.
Okay. Well, no. Wait. No. I'm okay. Proposed trade. All right.
we'll
Here's
propose
my
a trade.
proposed trade. The two teams that are trading are going to be the Las Vegas Raiders, and the other team is going to be the Cleveland Browns.
And we're the Cleveland Browns.
And we're the Cleveland Browns. Okay, sorry, Las Vegas first, and then we're going to pick the Cleveland Browns. All right, so we're going to confirm that as a trade. So what are we going to give? Las Vegas is going to give 1. Cleveland is going to give 6. 24. Next year's first. This year's third. And this year's fourth. Anything else you want to throw in there, Brian?
That's actually a more generous offer than I was gonna make, but yeah.
All right, so we'll throw that in, and we'll hit propose, and confirm the proposal. And what if they take it? The trade's accepted.
Oh, it's done. I've traded away my whole
We're not
draft
doing
money.
that. We're not doing that. Sorry.
What did I do? I'm such a fool. I fell in love with Mendoza. He's just got it.
We're not
He's
doing
got the
that.
it factor.
We're
New
not.
regime. We need our new warrior leader, Chief. He's not on our roster. It's not Deshaun Watson. It's not
we're
Shador
not.
Sanders.
We're
Well,
not.
Mike, are we doing realistically what could happen, or are we playing fantasy football here?
It's fantasy. Yeah, it's pure fantasy. So
Yeah, all right.
yeah. So is there a way, Brian? Is there a different configuration we can get everything look a little bigger, or is that the biggest we can get?
Yeah, we can.
Do it that. Okay, that'll be better. For me.
Everything we do, like this one cuts off my head. This way cuts off a little bit of the screen.
Yeah,
we'll do
this one I have to lean over here or sit over.
I know.
Here.
I can tilt my camera, so like I can work with it.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. We can work with it. All right. So let's go ahead and just start the whole thing and start the process off and have some fun. We're gonna work with the first overall pick. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to select. They are going to obviously just take Fernando Mendoza. And, I don't have any issues with that pick at all. I think, my philosophy is you always take the quarterback. There have been people on the Seahawks blogs, people like Rob Staten, one of the guys I used to like and admire, but now I think he's just a typical arrogant Brit. And, they're like, oh, you build in the trenches. Well, that's stupid if you don't have a quarterback. And especially if there's a quarterback who at least half the people in the league think might be worth taking first overall. So I'm going to say they're going to obviously take Fernando Mendoza. And anybody have any objections to them taking Mendoza as the first overall pick?
I mean, I would just add, is it possible, because the Raiders have a ton of needs. Look, I think it comes down to Tom Brady. If he goes, this guy has the it factor. He's a part owner of the team.
Yeah.
He's not, I don't know, whatever they do. Look, you're going to pick his brain as the part owner. If he says, I think this kid has it, we can work with this. I can coach this kid a little bit. I'm sure they're going to have meetup sessions. He's going to study film and try to coach him up on his game. He's a part owner of the team. Why wouldn't he? So I'd say it's all up to Brady. If Brady thinks so, go for it. But you know what? If they want to stockpile draft picks and collect 3 first-rounders, and maybe they take another guy and they revamp the roster, I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Okay, I hear that, but Jim, let me ask you this question before we get to Izzy. Let me ask you, Jim. Who won the Super Bowl last year?
We're gonna do this.
Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl last year. And what did they do last offseason? They decided, did they not, that Geno Smith wasn't good enough. And so they got rid of him and they went and they got Sam Darnold and they won the Super Bowl. So
they got our pick that we picked. You and I both said they're going to draft an offensive lineman number 1, and they did. They picked up Grace Abel,
who was one of the best 10 interior offensive lineman in the league, maybe even best 5.
I believe we had that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take the quarterback. And here's the thing: if you don't take the quarterback, Izzy, am I wrong? If you don't take the quarterback, you don't have one, do you?
Well, they have Kirk Cousins. I mean, that you could do with that as what you want. But I mean, if they do trade back, as you know, I'm not that high on Fernando Mendoza myself. But if there was a possibility of them trading back, they could get a huge haul, like 2-3 first-round picks, and just build around the team, the broken team that they have. I mean, they spent the most money in the offseason this year, and picked up like 6 free agents, all within the top 20 of just total free agents overall. So they could build even more and just roll out with Kirk. And I do believe next year's QB draft is way more deep and way more better than this year, and draft just in total next year.
The thing is, though, they always say that, right? They always say that next year's draft is always better. I heard that for like 6 years in a row with the Seahawks, or 4 years after they traded Russ and they didn't get a quarterback. They always say that, but the reality is, look at who was. Drew Aller was supposed to be a first-round pick this year.
Yeah, that guy's buns. Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't work out that way, and you can't say that next year's is deeper. If Fernando Mendoza goes to 3 or 4 Pro Bowls and is able to be on a team that's good enough to win a championship, maybe he doesn't make the mistakes. He's kind of a Sam Darnold type.
Yeah, I heard what you're saying. Yeah, that I believe that is the kind of quarterback type he is. I mean, he does have a big frame, 6'4", I believe, 220, and I do believe. My floor for him is like a Sam Darnold type, not specific intangibles, but just like a guy that you can trust with the ball in his hands, and if a team is built around him right, then he'll get the job done if needed. Nothing too crazy, but someone you can rely on. So yeah,
that's a good point, Mike. That he'll be able to go to a couple of Pro Bowls, because he sure as shit ain't going to a Super Bowl next year. So he'll be able to participate, and you'll be able to participate in the Manning Pro Bowls.
Well, the thing is, that's the thing, and the thing is too that doesn't bother me, and Brian, it doesn't bother me about taking a quarterback is, as far as I'm concerned, people are like, well, if you take Mendoza, you can't take Arch Manning next year if you're back. Why not? Because this is the NFL. You cannot have enough money or salary cap space invested in the quarterback position if you think the guy's good enough.
That is true. Either way.
Getting back to what you guys said, I mean, this is not a stellar draft. And it's probably because people focus on the quarterbacks available in a draft, and that's always the big halo pick is the quarterback. If you're basing that on quarterback picks, it's not a great draft, but there are a lot of good players in this draft, like Izzy says.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a good quarterback, and there's been a lot of talk whether or not Simpson's actually going to go in the first or second round, and he's arguably probably the second best quarterback available. That's a nice patch, Mike. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got that, but I'm going to be wearing it tomorrow. I'll tell you that. So
you get a free bowl of soup with that jersey.
Yeah, I did. I did get one.
Oh.
All right, so let's move on to the next pick.
Yeah.
I guess we'll jump on to who wants to take the Jets. I guess, Brian, you're going to be back with the Browns in a minute, but go ahead, Brian. Why don't you pick the Jets number 2 overall? Who are you, unless somebody really wants to. Izzy, are you fired up about the Jets?
I'm not fired about anything. New York.
I like the Jets.
You want the Jets? Okay, go ahead and take
I like the Jets.
Go ahead and take the Jets, Jimmy.
I think the Jets are. There's a lot of talk that Arvell Reese is probably going to be their next pick. I don't believe that. I think Arvell Reese is probably going to drop down to maybe 6 or 7. I like. Let me see here. I like David Bailey to go to the Jets.
David Bailey, the edge from Texas?
Yeah, Texas Tech, I believe.
Texas Tech, yes.
Yeah.
Really good.
6'3" and 5'8", 251. Got that edge speed.
Well,
And
the glaring stat with the Jets last year is they have a defensive coach, and he is still on the team as far as I know, as of this date. Uh, uh, they need to draft defense. They did not have one interception all of last year. The New York Jets went the whole season without having an interception, if you can believe that.
That's one of the wildest stats I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the Jets are probably predominantly going to be drafting defense this year.
But wouldn't you think that would incline them to draft a defensive back, though? Is instead of edge or
you see, that's the thing, is because depending how the edge works, if they apply a lot of pressure, then that makes the job tougher for the running back, offensive line, and quarterbacks, and it gives the defensive backs any more room to pick balls off or just disrupt passes. So you would think that, but they did just trade Sauce Gardner, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and I mean, it shows that, maybe they could draft back, but there's really no guys that stand out in the DB position like the defensive line position this year. So I'd stick with David Bailey on this one.
Well, the thing is, he didn't. Sauce was on the team for 6 or 8 games, and he didn't have a single interception either. So
yeah.
I guess maybe you may as well go edge. All right, so we're going to be taking then, just to double check, David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, goes to the Jets at number 2, correct?
Yep.
All right, we're going to draft him. David Bailey, edge. Okay, next up, the Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals. Who wants the Cardinals? Brian.
I'll do the Cardinals, yeah.
Brian will do the Cardinals. All right, then.
This one's
primary needs. Sorry, offensive tackle, quarterback, edge, offensive guard, running back. Mendoza's gone. What are you going to do, Brian?
Yeah, this one's hard here. Because quarterback being such a position of need, Jacoby Brissett, and got rid of Kyler Murray. It's wide open for quarterback, but this is like a 1 quarterback draft. Of course, there's 30 quarterbacks, maybe 15 are going to end up on rosters, fine, whatever. But you can't reach here. You just got to take the best player, and I think that is going to be Ez'Ryel Reese. You go ahead and pop him off the board. He's going to be a stand-up edge rusher.
Yeah.
Look, he's going to jump in right away. They need some help. They were 29th in points allowed last year. They were not good in any way. And getting a young, explosive playmaker like Reese, it's just going to be an anchor. In these top 5, top 10 picks, you sort of just have to go with the best player available. And if they happen to fit your need, bonus. I think Ez'Ryel Reese is a good pick here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It is. They did get Will Campbell, was it? They traded up for 2 years ago. The edge, they traded back up in 2023 after this C.J. Stroud deal to take Campbell. That was Houston. Was that Houston? I was thinking.
Houston took Will Anderson.
Cardinals. What are the Cardinals? The Cardinals took an edge. Well, okay, I'm wrong, but
I don't know why I'm blanking out. I should know this.
Yeah,
I don't. And Izzy, if you want to look that up real quick.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm almost tempted to do here is the Jeremiah Love. A lot of people say he is the best NFL player in this draft, all around. Of course, where do you rank the running back position? But they just signed Tyler Algier on top of James Conner. They don't really have the need there, so it's going to go to Ez'Ryel Reese. But tempted on Jeremiah Love. A lot of people have him ranked as the best NFL-ready player that's going to make an immediate impact on any team.
Yeah, I want to add on.
Okay, at that position right now.
So the Cardinals, it doesn't really seem they're just giving me links to their old draft picks. But I was going to say something about Ez'Ryel Reese. His physical stats line up to guys like Megatron. I mean, his 40 time, how big and tall he is, and even guys like Derwin James. And it's like on paper, he's literally the most freakiest linebacker that we have ever seen in any NFL draft. It's the question, will that translate into the NFL? Because you have a lot of guys who be like, oh, they ran the fastest 40 time and they really don't do much, but he blew out every statistical thing you could go for the combine as a linebacker within the history of the NFL combine. And one thing I feel like would make him a lot better is that the quarterback play that he'll be playing against this year which is Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, and Brock Purdy. That's a lot of experience to gain as a rookie, just to start off your career. So.
And it was I had Will Campbell confused with between Houston and Arizona because of the trade they made that year in 20.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Arizona, they did take a dude named Will Anderson, cornerback last year, and then they took a defensive end named Campbell last year as well from Ole Miss. So yeah, there's a lot of names.
So, all right. So now we're to the 4th overall pick. Who hasn't made a pick?
I'll take it.
And you have the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
And I'm not going to try to influence you in any way, but
Nope.
I might you if you screw this up.
So, can you tell me their biggest needs? What it says right there? I really can't see it on my phone.
Let me get over there. If you look at the Titans, the needs
Edge,
are linebacker, wide receiver, offensive guard, and running back in that order. Edge, linebacker, receiver, offensive guard, and running back are considered the main needs for the Tennessee.
So realistically, Tennessee, out of all the teams in the top 5, I feel like Tennessee has the biggest holes out of any team. To be honest, I believe they spent the second most money in this offseason, picking up just like a random, a bunch of like second string backup guys. Who's the new coach they signed this year?
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Dable and Mo Salah.
Right. Okay.
Dable bought over like 3 or 4 of his guys from the New York Giants. So, to be honest, I'm looking here. They're saying Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love is the best at position, really on the board right now, and I do believe that they could possibly take him. But this offensive line draft is really, really special. And I looked into some things, and remember the year that Joe Burrow got drafted? They were like, "Oh, they need offensive line. They need one for Joe Burrow," and they ended up taking a receiver, his teammate Jamar Chase. I kind of do believe the Tennessee Titans would take a receiver because they've seen how it panned out with the past couple quarterbacks that got drafted. Is like get them their wide receiver 1, and just let them work, and then next year go out and get an O lineman, get whatever else you need, but get a solidified wide receiver. So I do believe that let me see who is on that board right there.
Well, there's for wide receivers, the top guy is Carnell Tate.
So the big thing is Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon are 1A, 1B, and I think they go towards Mekhi Lemon.
By the way, just to jump in, don't forget about Tyson. Tyson, they say, has the most insane highlight reel. It's just a durability question. That he has the highest ceiling out of any of these guys. He's freakish athletically. His brother plays on the Cleveland Cavaliers, by the way, who are up 2-0.
But if you're picking in the top 5, you don't want a guy with question marks on his health.
Yeah, his injury history is kind of crazy. It is really. But I do believe they go offense here. So I just say best at position, take Jeremiah Love. It's kind of iffy. There's a lot of draft boards I'm taking Jeremiah Love, but it's like they have Tony Pollard. So it's hard for me to see that. But yeah, I just go best Love, ADP.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love is arguably the best prospect in the draft this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a quality dude. I mean, he plays for Notre Dame, and you just don't get by, playing football for a university, and they keep you around because you're a good football player. No, academically, this is a smart dude.
Yep.
And this is a low maintenance guy, and I've watched him play a couple of games. This guy is good. I mean, if he breaks the line of scrimmage, this dude is gone. I mean, this dude is fast.
Facts. Yep. Yeah, so I go ADP at draft position. I'll take Jeremiah Love here, but don't be surprised if they take offensive lineman or a receiver. So
okay, so you are going to take Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. Izzy, I'm glad you came around back to the right decision. I think Jeremiah Love's the best player in this draft. I think
Yep, I agree.
Regardless of whatever else they have. There was a time years ago, before you were probably born, Izzy, when the San Francisco 49ers had a Hall of Fame quarterback named Joe Montana, and they still went and took a guy named Steve Young because they needed another great player. Why not have another great player for 5 years down the road? Jeremiah Love's probably the best guy prospect in this draft. I wouldn't hesitate for a second. If I was sitting there at 4 and he came to me, I'm getting him for 4. I'm feeding Cam Ward with him. I'm handing him the ball. I'm throwing him the ball. He's a fantastic pass receiver. He does everything. He checks every box. He's an offensive weapon, and the Titans have very little offense. He will make Derek Ward look a lot better and feel a lot more comfortable back there, and that's a great pick. And anybody who lets him get to 4, I think, is a retard, because this guy is going to be a stud. So
that was Derek Ward. You meant Cam Ward.
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward is what I meant. Derek Ward is a lineman or something. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, Derek's his big sister.
So Jeremiah Love goes. Now the 5th pick in the draft is the New York Football Giants. I guess that is me. Well, what do the Giants need? They need receivers. They need offensive linemen. They need defensive linemen. They need everything. But look, here's the bottom line. They have so far they've needed a wide receiver for a while. They have 2 picks in the top 10 now. They're sitting there at number 5. They have their pick of the litter when it comes to wide receivers. I'm just not even going to wait. I'm going to take Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And you know what? I'm trying to feed this young quarterback. What's his name?
The CTE bros. Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart, CTE bro. I'm trying to feed him, but I have to assume he's going to be okay. I'm taking Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And I'll tell you something else. If I come back here at 10 and Mekhi Lemon is still there, I'm probably taking him too, because I don't just need 1. I need 2. I'm not going to be crazy, but if I'm the New York Football Giants, I'm taking the best receiver out there. You can't go wrong with Ohio State wide receivers, right, Brian?
Well, you can go wrong if you take him 1 pick before I was going to take him. And now I'm sitting there going, what am I supposed to do?
Well, this is what happens in a draft.
This is the draft. This is reality.
Straight out.
This is the worst. In my
can't be
head,
no
you've already
fantasy.
drafted him.
Yeah.
And here's what I was going to say when we took Carnell Tate. Maybe his ceiling is not as high as some of the other wide receiver options. But he's been in that pedigree Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver turn and burn systems for a long time. He's maybe never been the best player on his own team at his own position, which is the weirdest thing you could imagine saying for someone being drafted in the top 5, but such is Ohio State. The guy has really good hands. He goes to get the ball and he high points it. That's super important. You don't want to, the closer it is to you, the easier it is for it to get smacked away. If you go get it at the furthest out, you catch it first and then you hold on. He does that. He has great footwork on the sidelines. He runs crisp routes like Brian Hartline expects. The dude's just a consummate professional. I would not be surprised if he's going to have quiet, fantastic seasons for a long time. I just think way to go.
And he'd be paired up next to Malik Neighbors, a standout wide receiver they took 2 years ago. So that'd be an insane duo for Jackson Dart.
Yep.
All right. Well, then.
And the thing is, too, Brian, is that, with a guy like that, you're getting like a force multiplier, because, like you said, you get Malik Neighbors back, so you have 2 guys now that can run on the outside. Hopefully, Neighbors feels, is good, and this is just one of the things that happens in a draft, is that somebody takes somebody you're hoping they're not going to, but you don't screw around when somebody's on your right in front of you that you really like and that really fits your team. And that's where they're at. So.
All right, Brian, I got a question for you before you get started with this Browns pick of yours. There has been a lot of buzz and there has been a lot of news articles, and even Mel Kiper is one of his final drafts before tomorrow. He has the Cowboys trading with the Browns up to 6. I just want to let you know that and have that in mind if you are okay with that, if you're thinking about it, or like what.
Yeah,
like
here's what I'll tell you. So I take your phone call.
Brian, if this happens and you can't get Carnell Lake, and that's who you really want as the GM of the Browns, do you try to trade out of here? Are you going to try to think about?
I'm very tempted. If Carnell Tate is gone, I am very tempted. Here's what my brain is telling me. A couple of things. Having watched all of these Buckeye games last year, you really can't go wrong if you end up with. By the way, I'm just going to throw Caleb Downs. He was a punt returner. What if the Browns see what he's a home run hitter? You give him a little bit of space, and he does stuff on special teams. He could actually perform on offense. Something a lot of people haven't talked a lot about. Just put a pin in that. That dude is a playmaker on defense. That's the last thing we need. We need offensive line. We need wide receiver desperately, but we need a lot of players. We need.
They have us giving you 12 and 20. My bad for cutting you off. So both our first round picks.
12 and 20 for 6.
Yep.
I'm going to need a second round additionally. Mike, do you
We
want?
have no second rounds. You're giving us your second round.
No, I'm not doing that. If
Okay,
you want to
then,
propose a trade to Mike Bara, go ahead and propose.
No, I'm right now. I'm just reading off the some news articles and also Mel Kiper. They say the Cowboys trade pick 12 and 20 for Cleveland's number 6 and 39.
Well,
So the Browns now have 3 first round picks.
I would decline that because I'm definitely not giving anything back.
Okay.
You're going up to 6.
Remember,
I think the difference between number 12 and 6 is big.
Another thing to keep in mind too is that the consensus is there's only 12 first round graded players in this draft. So if you trade out of this, Brian, odds are you're going to miss on one of those guys. So you got to think about that. Are you willing to take a mid-level, high second talent when you're sitting there with a first round talent in front of you right now? And what are you going to do?
Well, here's what I'm going to do. My pick is in. I sort of telegraphed this a little bit.
We need that little sound, that do. Anyway. Right. What are we doing?
Oh, it goes bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum. That one. I'm going to go ahead and take Tyson, the wide receiver.
Wow.
Like I told you, he has the highest ceiling, the most freakish athletic ability. His brother plays in the NBA. There is family. And by the way, Sonny Styles sitting there, it kills me that I can't take him because he's going to be a stud. Caleb Downs is going to be a stud. I would have taken Carnell Tate. He wasn't there. Best player available at the position that I need. It checks 2 boxes. Yes, I'm rolling the dice on health, but everybody's rolling the dice on health. You don't know if you're going to get Joe Thomas, who's going to play his entire career, never missing a snap. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
You're going to get, Greg Oden, on the Trailblazers. You never know when someone's going to be injury prone. Yet, I'm rolling the dice. I'm taking Tyson. I'm going for it. Wide receiver. Yes.
6'2", 205, 203, skinny guy, like a kind of a Mike Evans type, who can jump through the roof. So we are going to take Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. That is the first surprise, really, of the evening. I was
going to say first. Go ahead.
One more point on it real quick. It brutalizes me to not take some of those incredible players, but we just don't need defense right now. I could have either said take the best player available or take the best player that fits the need. And it was a battle between the tackle position that we desperately need and wide receiver, but I went with playmaker instead.
Why not take the tackle who's top 7 or top 10 and top 12 and Spencer Fano? Why not take that first? And wait on the receiver.
Because I think we've dealt with this a while. The Browns famously traded back out of the Julio Jones position when we needed a wide receiver number 1 for a long time, and we dealt with it. The drop-off between a top-tier wide receiver and a top-tier offensive lineman, you can get some decent play out of some decent players. It won't break the bank quite as much on the offensive line. And if you have a good system and everyone knows their role, you all sort of just work as a unit, and it works if you have a stable system. Callahan showed us that for years with Nick Chubb and the Baker Mayfield years. We've been off kilter for the past couple of years, but especially with wide receiver, if you get them in the draft, you get to sort of control the extension periods in the contract, hoping you can get somebody for 10 years. Hoping you can re-sign your players, extend their contract, guaranteed money. We're going to extend it out. that's even more important for a top tier wide receiver because they just don't hit the market. They don't really bounce from team to team like some of the other positions. So that's why I made that choice.
All right. We're
Mike.
with pick number 7.
Okay.
Washington. Whose pick is it now?
That's my pick.
James.
It's Jim's pick. Jim, you get to pick the Washington Redskins / Commanders / Warriors, whatever the hell they are.
No Commanders. They are the Redskins. They changed their gear this year too. They went back to the original Redskin colors and
and the little spear thing, right? I mean, that's the best looking uniforms.
Yeah, that's pretty racist, having the spear. But they had the spear back in the 70s.
The spear of destiny. Yeah.
Yeah. Sonny Jurgensen had the spear.
The spear. That's right. That's right. He wore the
I think the Redskins are going to go offensive tackle, and I'm going to go ahead and go Francis Malagoa.
Okay.
Out of Miami.
Good pick.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, that's the logo. I just wanted to show you guys. This is pretty dope. I like this. I think it's cool.
But they need to, those are, hey, I like the hat. I like the hat. I like what they did with the spear. It kind of goes between the W.
Yeah, I don't like the W, but I like it just had the spear.
I like the spear. Yeah, the spear alone would be nice.
And also I like the color was a little deeper, more burgundy, I think. But still,
they just need to suck it up, and grow a set and just bring back the American Indian.
And I want Chief Wahoo and the Cleveland Indians returned in the Major League Baseball realm.
All right, so we are taking Francis Mawaga, the offensive tackle from
common spelling.
Miami.
Hey, I don't know if you guys realize, but the top 10 are projected to be real Ohio State fat. I mean, there's 4 players projected to go to out of Ohio State in the top 10 this year.
Well, it's only not really working out that way yet. Only 2.
Yeah, Arvell Reese, Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs,
Sonny Styles.
Sonny Styles. Yeah.
It's sort of a damn shame we weren't able to bring home a championship last year. Yeah. Sort of a damn shame. Had a chance, couldn't get it done. I hate leaving championship hardware on the floor. It's seldom that you get NFL players like this stacking your roster. You're supposed to capitalize. So we'll see if Ryan Day can bounce back.
I think Izzy brought this up earlier. Izzy's correct. Jerry Jones is projected to trade up, possibly to number 6 or number 5.
Yeah, that's been the talk for the past week or so.
And by the way, Greg time down there, shout out to Dinty. This is Greg Moore. He was saying that the Browns should make that trade at 12, 20 and 24. Go ahead and make the trade. But, we went and made our pick because we wanted to just get the best impact player possible. We already deferred and slid back last year. We got a second pick in the first round. Let's just cash in our chips and really start building this team. New coach.
All right. Pick number 8. Let's see. I took Tate. Brian took Tyson, and Jim took. So Izzy, you're up for the New Orleans Saints at number 8. All needs are considered edge, wide receiver, corner, offensive guard, tight end, basically everything.
Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. He's really good. I mean, he showed everything last year. I mean, Miami made it to the national championship, and I mean, they just need defense. Tyler Shuck, I believe he's going to be the starting quarterback. They still have Chris Olave. Their offense is not anything special, not anything mediocre, but it's serviceable. So their defense needs a lot of help, and I think they take Ruben Bain to pair up with Cameron Jordan if he comes back this year.
It's interesting because what you're looking at there, what you're seeing so far in the trends, at least how we're running it, is you're placing a higher value on the edge guys than you are the linebackers. Sonny Styles is a great linebacker, but he's a linebacker. And they're not. And
some teams, they just don't. Yeah, they're not as important. It depends on the scheme, too. It just a lot of things that go in with it.
Ruben Bain, hell of a football player. If you guys want to give me a couple of minutes on Ruben Bain.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Not a character guy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He is trouble. He's going to be trouble in the NFL. This is just my projection. You know, we had
Based on 40 years
we
of
had a
time.
couple of things correct last year. You know, one of which, you know, the Patriots getting rid of their wide receiver. I
Yeah.
believe we had that one.
You don't like that. You don't like him much.
Well, I don't like Reuben Bain either.
You don't like him much.
Reuben Bain was cited for careless driving in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
He ultimately ended up killing a woman, Destiny Betts.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the Florida law or Miami law is, but if somebody dies as a result of a traffic accident or any type of accident or an intentional homicide,
Yeah.
they are prosecuted within a year and a day within that death as being culpable in that death. Now, this was a death as a result of a traffic accident, which he was cited for careless driving in 2024.
Yeah.
The police officer FTA'd court when he came up to plead guilty or not guilty on a citation that he was issued. A field sobriety test was never done at the scene. This is reported by the Miami Herald.
Sounds like they're covering him for him. The cops covered for him. Yeah.
Well, what it ultimately sounds like, you know, and one of our sayings here is the answer to all your questions is money. Well, the Betts family said that they wish Reuben Bain well in his career, and what that translates is that they took an out of court payout.
Yeah, he paid him. Yeah.
So the family didn't raise any flack as far as him not being prosecuted.
And they so essentially the FTA failure to appear, I believe.
Failure to appear. The police officer failed to appear,
right.
And there was a technicality in the citation that he had written, meaning there was a mistake in the narrative of how the citation was filled out. Now, he was cited and released for careless driving, which is probably a lesser charge than reckless driving.
Yep.
Because in the charge of reckless driving, you basically need 3 moving violations combined in one, which constitutes reckless driving. Well, if there's no witnesses to the accident, you can't combine 3 or more charges to substantiate reckless driving. So the citation is careless driving. Well, like I said before, a field sobriety test was not administered. There was no alcohol, breathalyzer, or urine or blood taken to see what was actually in his system. But she died. She was in a coma for 3.5 months and died as a result of her injuries.
I was going to say.
That is vehicular.
Can't take your pick back now, is.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's vehicular manslaughter.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like there was definitely something covered up there for sure.
100%. I was going to say.
Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to October 2020.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Pause on October. Izzy, make your point real quick about this first.
Yeah. It was something similar with Jalen Carter. I mean, you know, he has character issues for sure. He was driving. It wasn't towards somebody else in another car crash, but the people within the car, 2 people, I believe, died in the car while he was driving recklessly. So there's some similar. I don't know how that will work in court, but.
She wasn't the driver. It doesn't matter, but she died as a result of her injuries.
Okay, yeah. He had the same with 2 of his friends in college right before the draft. So,
okay, let's fast forward to 2025, October 2025. Bain was also cited a second time for careless driving involving an accident in October 2025, and which was later dismissed while operating his Tesla Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
Do we see a pattern here?
Yeah, he needs a personal driver. That's what it seems like.
It ain't gonna happen. Tiger
It ain't
Woods
gonna happen.
a personal driver. Reuben Bain ain't getting a personal driver.
I mean, but don't you have a Tesla? Can't you just put your destination and like you're not even gonna ever drive it? Like you can get one without a steering wheel now.
Well, first of all, you got to be smarter than the truck, Brian. Put that in.
You said.
All right.
Touche.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for
he's not a
torpedoing
character.
the
He's
Saints.
not a character guy. And let's go back to the Raiders. What problem did the Raiders have a couple of years ago?
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs. In excess of 100 miles an hour westbound on Tropicana at Rainbow, just a stone's throw from where Mike and I live. Driving his Bugatti. Took out a woman and her dog. Killed
Burned
both
them
of them.
alive inside their car.
Yeah. Killed both of them.
Yeah,
Well,
that's not good.
as far as I know, Henry Ruggs is still up at NSP, up in Carson City.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is that though, when these players are ranked, I mean, these character things are factored in there. There are teams like Seattle who have really pretty strict rules about character, but in their case, it's about football character, and I could see them not taking a chance like that, but it seems like this stuff has already been factored in. I mean, this guy is considered a top 10 pick, and nobody would argue that. So, has there been a cover-up, Jim? You seem to be suspicious there is, or is this something that teams have factored in?
It's not necessarily. I'm not saying it's a cover-up. It's a civil agreement that was done between the victim and Mr. Bain.
An arrangement. Maybe
It's
a
above
percentage of
board,
career earnings.
but there was negligence on the part of the arresting alleged not arresting officer but citing officer.
Right.
There was a clerical issue. They said with the citation that was issued, and if injuries are this serious, if there's you don't need probable cause for a field sobriety test. You just need reasonable suspicion, which is a lower degree.
It seems implausible, though, that there wasn't reasonable suspicion based on that accident.
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To add on to what you were saying, Mike, I highly doubt this will affect his draft position. I mean, yeah, you might say it to certain points, but when I was out in Kentucky with Brian, we were talking about like what some of these companies and leagues value out of their players. I mean, sometimes it depends. Like if there's either domestic violence dispute or car crash or something, sometimes they really just don't care. They mind more about what you do on the field for them, how much you could put in their pockets, rather than I don't know. I don't want to get too political here, but Jaden Ivey was a basketball player. Of course, some things did lead up to him getting his release, but realistically, he was talking about God and just calling people out about it, and it ended up to him losing his job. And like what I was telling Brian is that it just deems what the company feels more valuable and what they feel is more how can I put it,
on brand.
On brand, and what would be violence towards their company. And they, I mean, and today we see that domestic violence, car crash, just anything, it just doesn't matter. But when it comes to other things, it matters more. So how their brand is viewed. So I just want to toss it out there. I highly doubt this will affect them at all.
And they say the NFL stands for National Felon League. So, if you can run the ball, score the ball, tackle the guy with the ball, you'll have work in this league. So anyway.
What was that documentary they had, Brian? The Catholics and the convicts?
Catholics versus the convicts.
Yeah. Speaking about Notre Dame and the University of Miami.
Yeah, pretty good doc.
Yeah.
All right.
Next pick.
Mr. Bain is from Miami.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting information, none of which I knew, Jim, so I appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on now to pick number 9, Kansas City Chiefs. I believe this is my pick, so I'm going to make the pick for the Chiefs. The truth is, there's some really good players out there. Sonny Styles is a really good player. Caleb Downs is a really good player. Mansour Delane is a good player. He's a corner, and they could use defensive backs. They could use a safety. They could use a linebacker. They just need good defensive players on Kansas City, but the reality is, none of those guys strike me as that special. I like to like Caleb Jones as much as I ended up liking Nick Emmanwori last year. I just don't see it. If you're getting Nick Emmanwori at the number 9 pick, I'm taking him. I don't think that's what I'm getting if I take him. So safety's out. Sonny Styles is a really, really good football player and a good linebacker, but he's a linebacker. And I'm not sure linebacker moves the needle that much for my defense, Kansas City, which,
He's really good.
I'm now coming off Patrick Mahomes' first catastrophic knee injury. And yeah, he'll probably recover, but he might not. He also might need some cleanups. He might start missing more games in his career.
Wait a minute, Mike. Hold on. Are you telegraphing?
So I am. So you got to think about all these things, and you don't have you don't have as much clock left on. You don't have as much time left on the clock as you thought you did. So, given all that and looking at this, I think the Kansas City Chiefs need to go get somebody who's a bit more of a risk, but has incredible upside, and who is going to really make a difference in their defense if he hits. So who we're taking is we are jumping down to Keldrick Falk, the edge from Auburn, because
I heard he
need pass rush. So we're going to go take a pass rusher.
I thought you were going to go with a quarterback right there.
Oh, no, not a chance. Nah, you know what? We can afford to take, if we're the Chiefs, we can afford to take one more year to rebuild this thing back up to a Super Bowl level. I'm not going to panic like that. I'm going to spend this year getting Mahomes fully healthy, back on track, get his rhythm back, get his timing back.
Yeah, but you want to fix that offensive line that helped lead to the injury, though.
I mean, no, their offensive line's pretty good.
And that's what you got for
their offensive line's pretty good.
Yeah, you got another pick for that too. So
okay. All right.
So, I'm going to jump up. I mean, I realize this is a big jump. But the other positions are not value positions to me. This is a value position, and this is probably the last guy that I'm willing to take a risk on as a pass rusher in this draft. And the guy's athletic ability is off scale high. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more, what was the guy from last year? He turned out not to be that good. The Bengals, they drafted a guy out of A&M last year, I believe. And he really didn't have high output as far as stats, but his athletic ability and what they said, the pressures he caused, deemed him to go higher than some would expect. But yeah, Falk, really good pick, I believe. He was supposed to be down lower somewhere near the Cowboys' second pick, but yeah, Falk is amazing.
Last year, the Bengals drafted Shamar
Stewart, yep, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, he bounced off the charts athletically, and he really didn't have the output, and they were like, oh, maybe he'll have the output in the NFL, but that hasn't come to be true yet, but you never know.
17th overall pick, 6'5".
When you've got two first round picks like this, you can take a chance.
Yep.
You can take a big chance.
Well, let me jump in as the Giants. Let me take this pick here.
Brian's up for the Giants.
In the land of Lawrence Taylor, give me Sonny Styles. I am not overthinking this for a millisecond. Give me a badass in the middle of that defense. Thank you very much. Are you kidding me? He's sitting there at 10.
Yeah, Done. I think
trust the draft. A+. Darnell Payton, Sonny Styles, two Buckeyes to change the losing culture. You bring in multiple Buckeyes in the same first round. Holy shit! Win. Great job, Giants.
He's a good player. There's no way around that. He's a real good player, and he's going to help them. But here's the thing, Jim. This is what I always question. If you got 2 first round picks and you have a young team, like you're the Raiders, right? Let's say the Raiders did make a trade during the draft and get a second first round pick. Does it really make sense to take one offensive guy and one defensive guy when you're, for instance, developing a quarterback, or does it make more sense to take 2 guys on the offensive side of the ball? Like, if I was the Giants and I could come away with Love and the tight end, what's his name?
Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, Sadiq. If I could come away with those two guys at 5 and 10, if I
Or
was
Kenyon Sadiq, my bad.
yeah, I'm doing that because I'm feeding most of I don't do that balance shit. That's how you end up with a mediocre team, to my mind. If you're developing a young quarterback, you got to stack it. What do you think about this defensive pick for the Giants, Jim?
I I think the Giants need defense. In fact, Mel Kiper projected Caleb Downs to go to the Giants.
He would be a great pick too. Great pick.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah,
Love these guys.
yeah. I think they definitely need defense on the Giants.
Mhm.
More than they would need offense. And I think it was either you, Mike, or Izzy that brought up Jackson Dart. Izzy said that his middle initials were CTE.
Yep.
Yeah, he spent more time in the blue tent than any other player last year.
He's got to take fewer hits. He's got to
Yeah.
go down easier.
Jim.
John Harbaugh is historically he's a special teams coach. He came out of special teams, before he was a head coach. And he's going to be battling the New York media, and I think John Harbaugh is going to he's a hell of a coach, and I think he'll do well with the Giants.
After
Yep.
getting Carnell Tate with the 5th pick, I would have come back here with the offensive lineman Thad.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, them being a division opponent, of course, I keep up with their draft as well. I mean, you could look what they took. They took Kayvon Thibodeau, the guy from last year from number 11 from Penn State, Abdul Carter. They had Dexter Lawrence. They signed Brian Burns. I mean, their defensive line was stacked. And yeah, you could say their defense was a problem, but their number one problem for literally the past 5 or 6 years has been their offensive line. Ever since they drafted Evan Neal, the worst rated tackle for the past couple of years, and somehow still has a job. It's me personally. I believe that, yeah, if I were them, right here, it says Caleb Downs, Sony Styles. If they're there, I would have took offensive linemen. I mean, their trench work has been horrible. I mean, you could see, of course, a product to Jackson Dart's rushing. That is a huge part to his injuries. But also, you got Cam Scatterboot and Jackson Dart back there. Hopefully give him a little more time. And look, you have Carnell Tate and Malik Neighbors. Of course, he's going to need more time now. So, me personally, it's been a problem for them for the past 5 years. And I believe they possibly might take a offensive guard or tackle here, given the opportunity.
I mean, Sonny Styles certainly is worth the 10th pick. And I don't, blame Brian for getting a good. The problem.
Sometimes you just take whoever's there. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem when you suck is you don't have enough good football players. So you got to get some better football players. All right. Izzy is going to be taking the Cowboys at 12. So, Jim, I think it's your turn. You get the misery of drafting for the Miami Dolphins. Who are you taking? Is this just a best player on the board kind of thing, regardless of need? Main needs are considered wide receiver, corner, offensive guard, offensive tackle, and edge. What do you think about that?
Well, the Miami Dolphins are they've been touted as being in a rebuild right now, and I think the over under is 4 or 5 games this year.
Imploded.
So with the betting trends this year, we're going to see a lot of money line bets against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
As far as Mike and myself making parlay bets. I think they're going to go defense here. I'm going to go Mansour Delane.
Oh,
corner from LSU.
Out of LSU.
Widely regarded as the best corner in the draft, really.
Yeah. I was finna take him with the Cowboys pick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go Mansour Delane on this. I think that particularly in the AFC East, they're going to want to build their defense up. And they this year, the Dolphins may be a little better this year. They actually have a quarterback that can play in temperatures below 40 degrees. You know, and with Malik Willis, you know, he's proven to be able to, you know, coming out of where do you play before? Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Yeah, I hear it's cold up there. You know,
Yeah.
you know, I think he can handle the cold weather. So yeah, we'll go with Delane on this.
Okay.
Right. You know, I mean, I think he's definitely in the mix. All right, so let's review the first 12, 13 picks here. First 11 picks so far. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana, goes to the Raiders. The Jets take David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech. Arvil Reese is the edge from Ohio State, goes to the Cardinals. That makes a lot of sense. Jeremiah Love, right where he should have gone, to the Titans with their new
Logo.
girlish.
Don't know what that is.
Yeah. Carnell Lake, the wide receiver from Ohio State, goes to the New York Giants. I broke Brian's heart. Sorry, but it just made the most sense to me. He bounces right back with Jordan Tyson. He wants a receiver. He needs a receiver. He gets Jordan Tyson from Arizona State for his Browns. Francis Mauoga, the offensive tackle, goes to the Redskins. That's a good pick. You want to obviously protect your young quarterback there.
Don't call me Francis.
Don't call me Francis.
I'll kill you.
Yeah, Reuben Bain, the controversial edge from Miami of Ohio, goes to the Redskins. I think Dan Quinn feels like he can handle a little bit of a troublemaker. Kedrick Falk, kind of a surprise. The edge from Kansas City jumps up to number 9. Sonny Styles, a linebacker from Ohio State. You just can't miss with that pick. Solid pick in Mansour. Delane, the corner, goes to the Dolphins. Now we're number 12. We're up at number 12, and the pick is going to Izzy's.
Yeah. All right. So the Cowboys.
Before you jump into the Cowboys, one quick point on Tyson. It's never happened that two brothers have played on the same city's NBA team and NFL team at once. That would be super cool storyline for Tyson. They're athletic freaks. So, all right, Izzy, you have the floor.
I was going to say, yeah, so like I said, the Cowboys past week or so, they've been talks with trading up with the Browns, and that trade would resulted in us drafting Sonny Styles. But at here, we since the beginning of the before the combine, all that, it was either Sonny Styles or Mansour Delane at this position.
Ooh.
But it was also Caleb Downs, but we found out that Caleb Downs is a lot more special than we thought he might have been, and he's here. So I believe this pick, I'm going to take Caleb Downs. The only reason why I believe this could come out in real life, that he drops this far, is because the safety position is one of the most non-needed positions in the NFL, especially with the draft. I've seen so many articles where they're like, Caleb Downs would have been top 3 or top 5, but just since he plays safety, it's just not that valuable. You can find another guy to go out there and fill in that hole for you. And for the Cowboys, our offense is pretty fine. Of course, we could use another offensive lineman, but our defense, our DBs, we gave up some of the most points in NFL history this year. So start that off with drafting Caleb Downs.
You got to do something, and the thing is that that's fine. You can say that safeties aren't that important, but look at the difference that Eman Wari made.
I mean, I was high on him last year. That guy's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Oh no! I was just gonna say, yeah, he's an athletic freak. I wouldn't say Caleb Downs is that crazily athletic like him, but he is very special and very good for the.
It's how the Seahawks use him, and there are probably going to be teams copying McDonald's style and playbook a little bit. And
yeah.
Do you still expect the Cowboys to trade up on this year?
I'm not so sure about it. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, grabbing Arvil Reese, we do need a linebacker more than a defensive back. But if we're at 12, we're at 12. I really couldn't answer that. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I think they do. I think they traded. The last time they traded up in the draft, 2012. That was the last time the Cowboys traded up.
Oh, wow.
Also, just to add, they just paid your kicker yesterday.
Brandon Aubrey, 27 million.
Yep.
It's a lot of money.
Brandon
and
Aubrey.
Also, I don't know if you saw today, I saw this on my X feed. Guess who was at giving Jerry Jones some draft advice today.
No, who?
Bill Clinton, out of all people, was there at the press conference. It's like, what? I woke up, I'm like, what is he doing there? Why is he talking to Jerry Jones?
Well, at least it wasn't a homeless guy, you know, that draft.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, yeah.
Johnny Manziel, yeah.
Jerry, you got to get them young ones. It's the young ones you need, Jerry.
Yeah.
Young ones, boys, girls, I don't care. Just get the young ones. All right, I think
I did
I'm
not
up next.
drop that linebacker.
I think I'm up next. I think I have the
Yeah.
Rams.
Y'all see that new Rams logo?
Yeah.
No, what's it look like?
Looks better than the old one, but that ain't.
It's the same thing, just one color.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get what they're doing. You know, here's the thing. Let me just take a poll. I think the best uniforms the Rams ever had were the early 2000s Kurt Warner's with the gold, not the fucking yellow, which looks cheap and crappy. It looks like the Golden State Warriors. The gold, I thought those were awesome. Am I crazy for thinking those?
No, you're completely right. I played in those growing up as a kid in Los Angeles. Yeah, the gold is very special. I like those a lot.
Yeah, not the yellow, the gold.
Yeah, like what is the yellow?
It was Rams gold. Yeah.
It's the same thing as the Lakers. The Lakers, they got this huge pinpoint highlight yellow, and before we had more of like low tone goldish color, and it's like why are we going to this weird light yellowish? Like what is that?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get it either. But I thought those early 2000s gold Rams unis were by far the best. By far. All right, so we're up with the Rams. They have made some, definitely made some changes to the
Before
team.
you start, one thing to add on. How surprising is it that the Rams come off the NFC Championship? Like, could have gone either way, but of course the Seahawks became the Super Bowl champions. They're picking at 12, and I believe they have another pick this draft as well. That's
They have two, yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it's not very often. And so the thing about the Rams is that they're in win now mode. Because if they're going to get past the Seahawks, it's going to have to be this year, especially since the Seahawks just blew a gigantic hole in their roster by not keeping Ken Walker. So we don't have a running game. So the Rams have a chance.
Charbonnet's pretty good, though. I like Charbonnet.
He's not Ken Walker good. I don't even know why you'd say it.
He's literally fucking on crutches right now. And this is the Seahawks.
The Super Bowl MVP we're talking about here.
Don't get me started on John Schneider, okay? Don't get me started on John Schneider. Don't make me talk to you about the fact that they blew a hole in their roster for no reason whatsoever. Don't get me started on this. Don't.
And you got the Rams who really don't need improve. Of course, any team needs improvements, but it's like they're just adding fuel to the fire. It's wild.
The thing is, it's probably not a good bet to bet that your 38, almost 39-year-old quarterback is going to maintain the level of play he sustained last year, which was
First
really
MVP.
good.
Yep.
Although I think the Seahawks made it easier on the Rams than they needed to when they played them 3 times. But we squeaked by. We won the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, of course, was really the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
but,
I believe that. Yeah.
I think the Rams are in win now mode. I think they're going to. Are we going to get the board up there?
Yeah, board is up.
Not my face.
No. Yeah.
I think they're in win now mode. They're looking for another receiver, I believe, because Puka Nacua is in rehab, and he's freaking out, and he appears to have mental issues.
That dude is off the chain this offseason.
They are grabbing Mekhi Levin. If he is there at number 11, they are taking him at number 13.
Staying in town.
Boom, not even going to think about that. And that means that with Puka, they don't have to re-sign the guy. As great as he is, if he doesn't get his act straightened out, pretending like he's dating Sydney Sweeney, right? Sure you were, Puka. I got a better chance of dating Sydney Sweeney because she's into aliens, from what I hear, than you do, Puka. Let me just tell you. So it's like they gotta get a backup for that. I think that they're gonna take Lemon if he's sitting there at 13. They'll be over the moon to get him. So there you go.
Odell Beckham's looking for a job. In fact, he interviewed with the Giants yesterday. So
what?
Go.
Yeah.
There
Odell's interviewed with Harbaugh yesterday to go back to the Giants.
All right, who's
Good
pick is
luck with that.
Brian, you probably want Tampa, right? So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'll take
Tampa.
And by the way, Mike, you're just going to casually throw out there that Sydney Sweeney's an alien? Is it because
Sydney
of the
Sweeney's
space on the
into
eye?
aliens. She's into aliens,
Oh.
but I will plant an alien baby in her if she would like one. No problem.
Want some aliens in you? Okay, yeah, I will take the Buccaneers. Because did you click?
Okay,
Oh,
so now we're up to the Ravens at 14. Izzy just picked. So, Jim, I think you're picking for the Ravens. The main needs are considered defensive tackle, offensive guard, offensive center, wide receiver, corner. Looks like they're rebuilding with an entirely new coaching staff. So nobody knows what the Ravens are going to do this time.
I think the Ravens are looking to build their offensive line. I mean, they want to keep their quarterback upright.
Mm-hmm.
They got a new coach coming in. What's the new coach's name now?
I don't even know.
I got his face pictured. Not a big guy,
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I think they go offensive line. Let's go Spencer Fano.
Yeah.
Jesse Minter is the name of the new head coach.
Jesse Minter, right. Yeah, let's go Spencer Fano. He's what team did he play for?
The new coach's name is not as.
I think Utah. There's 2 offensive linemen that are from Utah State.
It's
or
definitely
Utah University.
Fano. Spencer
Utah.
Fano is the guy, or Fano. Yeah, definitely 14. So, I think that's a really good pick for the Ravens. It's what they need. They got to keep Lamar. Lamar's not as mobile as he used to be. He's still mobile, but let's face it, he ain't the Lamar from 2019, 2020 anymore.
Nope.
So, you may as well.
Still got Derrick Henry back there too. That you gotta.
Yeah.
And
Well,
by the way, Spencer is a player that I was really considering at number 6 for the Browns.
Teams need them. Offensive linemen. If you get one, they'll be there for years.
yeah.
Just once Carnell is gone.
There are some good prospects in the second round, but they're interior offensive linemen, not tackles. And Fano's probably the last, or Freelander, the last 2 tackles left. So.
Yep.
All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brian Engelman, you're picking for Baker and Tampa. The primary needs are considered edge, linebacker, defensive tackle, cornerback, or tight end. Do you think, Brian, that there's a chance that that actually Sonny Styles could slide all the way to 15 just because he's a linebacker and not?
No. I don't know where this just because he's a linebacker thing.
The Cowboys are taking him if he's there.
Ballers are ballers. Look
All
at the difference Carson Schlesinger made as defensive player of the year. Defensive rookie of the year for the Browns.
But he wasn't looked at as high because he was a linebacker. He did go mid-second.
Look
So
somewhere else. I love having him as the first pick in the second round. No, I don't see Sonny Styles taking too long, and I don't see him being available there. He would have been a great choice.
Mhm.
And I'm tempted to backfill with the best wide receiver available. You're kind of cooking with this Baker window. You lost Mike Evans to the 49ers. It's not listed as a position of need, but it sort of is. So I guess the only thing that would take me away from the top-rated edge rusher here is what other wide receiver is best available.
Well, me personally, I think other receiver, tight end Kenyon Sadiq. That's what I'm looking at that they might take.
Kenyon Sadiq is a tight end, and Omar Cooper.
Omar Cooper from Indiana. He's the only problem with him is they're saying that he's old. He's not that old. 23, 24, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm in. I'm all in. If you've watched Strictly Football for any of our 31 prior episodes of season 2, make sure you're all subscribed, by the way. Izzy has been so high on this Kenyon Sadiq.
And blew it off the charts for a tight end at the NFL Combine.
Yep. Yeah. And one of the most important needs areas outside of Cade Otton, the Buccaneers have a lot at tight end, and that is a huge. You saw what Harold Fannin Jr. was able to do for the Browns. Obviously, the Browns are working on fixing their entire offense, but that dude, Harold Fannin Jr. at wide receiver, he's a tight end, but he's also a slot. He's also a receiver. He's also a fullback. He's just put him where you need a player. I'm going to take Sadiq here. He's going to be a dynamic game changer, and that's going to really help fix the loss of Mike Evans there, and it's going to help.
I agree. You know, it's interesting because it's kind of the philosophy people have talked about with the Seahawks this past year, which is that it doesn't matter whether it's a wide receiver or a tight end, as long as it's a pass catching tight end. He acts like he's going to function like a receiver, a third receiver in many ways. So that's one way you can deal with it.
And that's what we've seen for the past couple of drafts with these tight ends. Kyle Pitts, Harold Fannin, and Tyler Warren. It's just like get the guy the ball wherever he lines up and see what he does with it. So yeah.
Speaking of Kyle Pitts, what do you think? Is he the guy? Is he the guy who's kind of on the trading block? Is it Pitts or the other tight end, the guy before Pitts?
Well, we're talking about the Falcons. We're talking about Pitts.
Falcons.
Well, Pitts hasn't really lived up to.
Yeah, he hasn't lived up to his hype.
Yeah, what do you think the chance that Pitts gets moved on draft day?
There's high. I have seen that there's high trade reports because, I mean, it just hasn't worked out with the Falcons and him. I mean, of course, he did have the most receiving yards his rookie year for a rookie year tight end, but it's. You expected a lot more out of him. They were talking like Vernon Davis kind of level, and he just hasn't come out to show. So, yeah, maybe a new scenery just might work. And I'm not sure Tua likes throwing the tight ends that much either.
Let me add one extra point. David Njoku is still unsigned among
Njoku, okay.
Just rumored to maybe go to the Ravens, but we'll see.
Yeah, he'd be a good choice for the Ravens. Also, he'd be a good choice for the Ravens. All right, Jets are up number 16. Who hasn't picked in a while? Is it you with the Jets? And
yeah, I believe so.
The Jets picked in the first part of the first round. On number 2, they took
David Bailey,
the edge. What are they looking at here at wide receiver, edge, quarterback?
Man, I was going to put that out there. There's some buzz around Ty Simpson even going top 10. And the one thing, it's like, I understand, but the one thing that I really don't like is when it comes around draft time, they just hype up the quarterback so much every day it gets closer to draft time. And they'll be like, yo, this dude, it needs to go all the way up here. And it's like, where is this coming from?
But it's because it's so crucial. And there's only there's only 5 people that might make a difference if you coach them right and they land in the right spot. You either grab it too high and you overvalue it, or you completely miss out. That's why you're swinging a high fastball. You shouldn't swing, but you're not going to see any that aren't in the dirt.
Right. Who was it? Will Howard, went in the 3rd or 4th round last year and didn't just do anything, and so
I'm a firm believer in Will Howard, by the way.
Yeah, because you're a Ohio State Buckeye fan.
Rodgers is coming back to the Steelers, right? Is Rodgers coming back to the Steelers?
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, you redshirt the guy. He's got some room to grow. If you sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback for a year or two, that's literally the Green Bay Packers philosophy.
Yeah,
don't sleep on Will Howard, but maybe not last year or this year.
I want to say one thing to add on to that. Yeah, like you said, you might grab him or you might miss out, but that's the whole draft with any player. But it just seems predominantly only with the quarterbacks is when draft time comes around, they're like, yo, this guy needs to get put up on a pedestal. We saw with Zach Wilson. We saw with Kenny Pickett in that year's draft, getting drafted in the 1st round. And it's like, why last second do these guys come out of nowhere? I mean, the Jets are so bad that they could take a quarterback and just see what happens. But me personally, I think I'm taking Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. What's up?
You're picking Cooper.
He took Cooper, yes.
Yeah, I'm taking Cooper.
I don't have an issue with that. You got an edge and you got a wide receiver, 2 things you need. Lions are up next. Whose pick is it next? Is it mine for the Lions? Is that what we're doing?
Well, we got Lions, Vikings, and Panthers on deck. Which one do you want, Jim?
Well, I'll take the Lions. They're kind of sitting here in no man's land at 17. Most of the top shelf talent is off. Jim, you'll be next with the Vikings. But I would say here, look, they lost a couple of offensive linemen. They have some guys coming up that they're going to have to sign. They need to protect the quarterback. Yes, they need defense. They can always use another edge, but I think there's some second-round edge guys. I am going to probably take Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle from Georgia, just to solidify that line and protect Jared Goff, because that's what they need. All right, the Minnesota Vikings pop up at number 18. Primary needs, Jim, are safety, center, corner, defensive tackle, and running back. What are you thinking for the Vikings?
Well, Mel Kiper Jr. He projects they're going to draft a safety, and I agree. I think the Vikings did allow a lot of points last year. I'm going to go.
They have that
Dylan
Harrison Schmidt guy who's been washed up for about 8 years, still back there. But anyway,
Mel Kiper. You don't like Mel Kiper?
no, Harrison Smith I don't like, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. We'll go Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon.
Out of Oregon. Good
Safety.
good pick. Good football player. Good team. All right. Next up is the Carolina Panthers. Is Izzy back with us yet? No.
I'll grab
Brian, Brian, you're going to take the Panthers at number 19. Primary needs are regarded as offensive tackle, safety, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and tight end.
I am going to go with, where is our top DT? Caleb?
Top defensive tackle is way down the list. Caden McDonald from Ohio State at 26. Yeah.
Okay. Geez, the positions in need again? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was too small to read. Thank you for zooming in there.
I should have fixed that quite a while ago.
It's okay. What positions in need? I'm sorry. Is that?
Oh, it's too big now. Hang on.
It's.
Now it's too big.
Oh, did Izzy pop out? That's what happened.
Oh,
Constant complaint of yours, Mike.
shoot. What's going on?
Here, let me just make it this big for now. That's not as big.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's good.
It can be bigger. All right. I'm sorry. The positions of need. That's offensive tackle.
I don't
All right.
know.
Let's take Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Someone that could have went to my Browns at 24, but unfortunately, we didn't take offensive line early enough, and now another big name is off the board. It's
Caden
something that they
Proctor is
need.
gone. So Izzy's back, but he's not back. Did we lose him? Should we pick? Have we got a text from Izzy?
Does someone have a text?
Ask him who he wants.
Oh wait, his Cowboys are up. Wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah, we gotta try to get Izzy back.
Okay. Oh yeah, we are paused. Izzy, who you want at what pick number is this?
This is pick number 20.
Okay. Yeah, he popped out. We are definitely at a midway point. We'll take this chance to ask everybody, make sure you're following the Unhappy Hour on X at the Unhappy Hour _. Follow the New American Media at American_media_. Follow Strictly Football at TNAM Football for the New American Media. TNAM Football is the X handle. Mike Bara 333 and Seahawk Boy Mike B.
Yes, that's
Two
correct.
different X accounts, Seahawk Boy Mike B and Mike Bara 333 on X. And follow Not Jim Mitchell on X. Haven't started that account yet, but I need to do that. I need to
No, you don't.
a phantom account for not. It will not be you. It will not be Jim Mitchell. I promise. It will not be Jim Mitchell. Not Jim Mitchell. Okay. Yeah. Make sure you're subscribed to all of the YouTube channels. I'm not hearing anything from Izzy. I don't know what happened. Maybe Jerry Jones took him out, zapped his feed. Didn't want to get
What should we do? Shall we?
unsolicited advice.
We can move up to the Steelers and wait for Iz.
We can make our theoretical. Do we want to make our theoretical picks?
No, because when you pick it, you gotta pick it.
Well, I mean, we could jot it down on the side. We could go through the thought process. And
Okay, so they got Caleb Downs. So they got a defensive back with their first pick at number 12.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're coming back, and a good match at number 20 would be Akeem Messidor is the remaining edge player from Miami. I think he might go for that. They need defense. They're probably going to take 2 defensive players. They already took a defensive back. So it's either a tackle or an edge. Which one? I would go with Akeem Messidor, the edge.
Okay, I'm gonna say Izzy just checked in on text. He says his phone overheated. He's got to get something. He's got to address that. But I'm sending him a picture of the remaining picks right there. We'll see what he says. You would go with Messidor?
I would go with Messidor. Yeah.
Jim, who would you go with here if you?
Because one pass rusher and one defensive back. Yeah.
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 Obviously, defense being the problem for the Cowboys. Jim, who would you take here if you were the Cowboys?
Well, I wouldn't take a kicker.
Yeah, good point. That's a Janikowski type move. People like that kid out of Toledo too.
What do they like? What are their needs here? Cornerback, linebacker, safety?
All defense, yeah. Just anything on defense, yeah.
Let me check my notes here real quick.
All right.
Jermod McCoy, I mean, is he still available?
He's still available.
Out of Tennessee?
They did take a defensive back with their first pick, Caleb Downs.
So we don't want to do that twice.
Especially at that position.
Yeah, well.
I'm taking Messidor. That's who I'm taking. It's an edge. 6'3", 260. 25-year-old rookie. But that means he has more experience. Yeah.
25-year-old rookie.
Yep.
Okay, that's an advanced age. That is geriatric. We're getting into Brandon Whedon territory. He says take Germond. Germond. Jermond. Who's he? Huh?
Jermond McCoy. Okay, the corner from Tennessee. So he's going to double down on the secondary. All right. You got it. All right. Steelers are up at 21. Brian, I know how much you love the Steelers. Why don't you tell us who the Steelers are taking?
Yeah, where do we have for the positions of need for the Steelers? Obviously,
quarterback, offensive guard, linebacker, wide receiver, and safety.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Just my forecast on this, Brian. I don't think Rodgers is coming back to the Steelers.
Right. I think they're okay giving Will Howard a shot at things, but I think the Steeler way is to get the bruisers on the line, and I'll go ahead and take the offensive guard out of Penn State. Fix the line, anchor the line, even though we have a new head coach over there with Omar Epps being gone. I think they're going to build from the inside out. So I'll take the lineman out of Penn State. You know, okay. Pennsylvania boy stays in Pennsylvania. He knows how to play in the conditions. Big boy.
Iowan. Okay. Next up are the San Diego Chargers, also known as the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think, again, they're looking for a center, an edge, a defensive tackle, a safety, a linebacker. I think the one that clicks with me there is Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety from Toledo. So people are big on safeties here lately. Let's go ahead and give that to the Chargers. All right. Philadelphia Eagles. Next up are the Cleveland Browns, Brian. Get ready. Philadelphia Eagles, edge, offensive tackle, wide receiver, tight end, and safety. Who appeals to you there? Jim Mitchell, Najigba.
Let's see. Who's left?
Well, you've
probably a good defensive end. I hate that term, edge.
Well, you've got
I do too.
Akeem Messidor, you've got he's the best edge left by, and then Zion Young is down at 33 from Missouri.
Yeah, it's too bad Reuben Baines still isn't available. Boy,
Go for that.
yeah.
I was gonna say, are all the good, like, any more receivers there at all?
Denzel Boston.
Because
there's-
AJ Brown is in the talks of leaving.
KC Concepcion is
Oh,
there.
Concepcion, yeah, I heard he's pretty good. Yeah,
Who's in talks for leaving?
AJ Brown to the Patriots.
AJ Brown, yeah, he's projected to go to the Patriots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the Diana Rossini story, isn't it? Like they planned.
So, I mean, that pick would make sense. KC Concepcion at 27 for the 23rd pick. That's right in the range. So
Kind of like Zion Young out of Missouri.
you like Zion
Okay.
Young out of Missouri?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll throw him to the Eagles. Izzy's got a good point. AJ Brown, he's going to be. I think that they haven't inked it, but he's going to go to the Patriots before the start of the season, and he's going to take Diggs' spot because we had that correct last season that Diggs was going to be one and done in the Patriots, and he is.
Yep.
He's a great locker room guy.
All right.
Plus,
Brian,
sorry, Mike, but AJ Brown's got a history with Mike Vrabel. Also, he played for Mike Vrabel at Nashville. So,
as did that Dana Russo or whatever it was. She also played with
Diana Rossini,
Diana Rossini.
yeah, the one that can't pronounce Peyton or Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Peyton Manning. Yeah, there's no T in Peyton. by the way. Mountain.
All right. It is the Cleveland Browns at 24. Brian Engelman, who are you taking? We've got Akeem Messidor, the edge. We've got Caleb Lomu, the offensive tackle. We got corners. We got defensive tackles. We got Casey Concepcion. We got Denzel Boston, the wide receiver from Washington. We got a lot of guys with the Browns' first pick. They, of course, took Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State.
And I
You got to
think
take into consideration, Brian. Also, when's the last time the Browns had a division title?
1989.
Wow.
Correct. Throw that man a dead fish. You are correct.
Yeah, back-to-back AFC championship runs, and not so much since. Yeah, this would be our first AFC North championship, by the way. That was always the AFC, what was it, AFC, what was it called? The Central? It was called the Central.
Yeah, would have been
Now
the
AFC Central.
Yeah.
With the Houston Oilers. Look, I'm very tempted here to grab top offensive lineman. I really am. I know another edge would be great because opposite Miles, there is room for improvement, but you have Miles and you have Denzel Ward and you have, Carson Schwessinger. We have some talented players.
And double down on receiver.
I'm doubling down on receiver.
Oh, really?
KC Concepcion here. Keep in mind that what we did is we addressed 3 or 4 or 5 different offensive linemen already in free agency.
Right.
Got this player here, got this player there, signed this guy from the Packers, this guy from the Chargers, this guy. And it's a new team, and they got to get on the same page with their system. But
Good
we're
pick.
going
I like
to
that.
take
I
some
like that.
offensive linemen in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, and we're going to plug them into our system and get them caught up, and we're going to get them going. But right now, we need playmakers bad because you can't evaluate quarterback talent without some good receivers. So now we're going to have Jerry Jeudy at the 3. You're going to have Concepcion at the 2, and you're going to have our other boy, Tyson, at the 1. Let's let it rip. And this is going to be one of the most dynamic offenses around because Quinshawn Judkins is going to come back at running back. You're going to have Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end, and it's going to be Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson. So let's see how it plays out. Going double wide receiver from the team that never drops, very rarely drafts first-round wide receivers.
Another good locker room guy, Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah. All right, Chicago Bears. Who is up next with the pick for the Chicago Bears? Ez'Ryel, is it your turn?
Yeah, I'll go. Let's see. Let's just give him a ADP, Akeem Mezador.
Yeah, I can't believe he's lasted this long on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's an edge. He's a pass rusher. That there you go. They can use it. Manchester City are now top of the league. That's awesome. And I can't think of a single argument against that pick. It's a good solid pick from a big school, good player. So it should be very successful. All right. The Buffalo Bills are up next. Their primary needs are edge, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, and offensive guard. Jim Mitchell-Njigba, who do you want to pick for the Buffalo Bills?
The Buffalo Bills. We don't like edge. We like defensive end, right, Brian? Yeah.
Yes, DE, defensive end. That was my
Right,
position.
defensive end. There's no such thing as edge.
Exactly, I concur.
Yeah, I got your edge right here.
We need to make T-shirts or hats with this. We need to make something that's
look, a defensive end to me is a 43 defensive end who plays the run, sets the edge, and rushes the passer. Whereas an edge, did I say defensive end? That's what I meant. A defensive end was an edge is a pure speed guy that goes around the outside. That's how I look at this.
I mean, anybody can do that. It's when you have to bull rush a guy. You got to spin, play inside, play outside.
I can't.
Yep, you just said that. Yep.
All right.
What about is Kenyon Sadiq? Is he still available?
No, he
Nope,
won't.
gone.
Oh,
No, he's gone.
Buccaneers took him. Big tight end.
Yep.
Stud tight end. Baker's gonna feast on that guy.
Yep.
This is-
Kenyon Sadiq.
He might set reception records with Baker.
this is where it gets tough. Well, they definitely don't need a quarterback. Wide receiver.
I mean, we're starting to get into slim pickings. Maybe Boston.
Boston, yeah, Denzel Boston. I mean, he's high on a lot of people's lists.
Denzel Boston, wide receiver from Washington, 6'3" and 5'8", 212, kind of a
Denzel Boston. Yeah. Okay.
kind of a
No,
Mike
okay.
Evans type. So we're gonna
Yep.
give
Player.
Denzel Boston at pick number 26. They're gonna be happy with that. Okay, the San Francisco 49ers. Brian, why don't you take that, and then I'm going to take the Houston Texans.
Santa Clara, Mike.
At this point of the draft, I'd like to submit a trade proposal from the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, all right.
I'd like to offer our first pick in the second round and next year's third round pick.
Okay, so let's go. We're going to trade between the Santa Clara 49ers, and we're going to trade between the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
And we are going to send.
So you're willing to give up your second round pick for a late first,
Yeah.
and not 2 first round picks?
Correct.
Okay, so
Okay.
you want 27 for 39, and what's the other pick?
Next year's third.
Next year's third.
So Izzy, are you saying Brian thinks a lot like Jimmy Haslam?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to put it that way.
All right, so 39 and a 2027 third for 27.
Yes, sir.
Let's hit the propose button. And the trade has been accepted. The trade has been accepted. The Browns are on the clock. Who are the Cleveland Browns taking?
We're taking that offensive tackle out of Utah. Thank you very much. Now we got 2 wide receivers and a really nice lineman. Maybe he's a true tackle. Maybe he gets moved into guard. Who cares? This is a generational draft right here, and this gives Shador or Watson a chance to actually succeed now. This is a home run. We are ecstatic. We were excited. We addressed our 2 biggest areas of needs in a big way. Crushed it. A+ in my opinion.
Man, all this to end up in the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
With a 6th overall pick, the Browns ended up with Jordan Tyson, wide receiver. They doubled down on wide receiver at 24 with KC Concepcion, and then they picked up Caleb Lomu, another need, the offensive tackle out of Utah, who may convert to guard. All right, I'm up, and it is going to be the Houston Texans are picking. Their needs are offensive guard, defensive tackle, offensive center, linebacker, tight end. I am going to do something that's going to shock a lot of people here because I have some basic needs, but the one that I need the most is to protect my prized possession, which is CJ Stroud. And there is a guy who you have not heard much about, who is a terrific offensive football player. He's an interior offensive lineman, and his name is Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, and he is going into the first round, and he is going to be the selection for the Houston Texans, much like Cole Strange was a few years ago with New England, but he didn't work out. But Pregnon will. He's really good. Okay, Izzy, we're going to give you the Kansas City Chiefs and let you pick for them.
Okay. Can you scroll up a bit on the
players? Yeah.
Yeah.
Avion Terrell is still there.
Avion Terrell.
Caden McDonald. No defensive tackles have gone yet.
I still don't see that happening yet. Maybe
took the edge.
Give him CJ Allen. I believe he's really good. They had the Cowboys taking him a lot earlier. Give him CJ Allen. He's a freak linebacker.
CJ
that the Kansas City Chiefs could use and put in their scheme.
All right. The 30th overall pick, the second pick for the Miami Dolphins. They took Mansour Delane, the corner in the first round, the first pick that they had. Now they have the 30th pick in the first round. They still need a wide receiver. They still need a corner, a guard, a tackle, an edge. What are they doing? I guess who's up next? Brian. What are you doing?
Okay, let me enlarge this screen. Needs wide. That's wide receiver, cornerback, and guard, right? Wide receiver, cornerback, and guard.
Wide receiver, cornerback, guard, tackle, edge.
All right, let's take the cornerback out of Clemson.
All right, Avion. I know it didn't work out this way, but I feel like he's going to go before that. But
yeah,
it just didn't work out in this.
I felt Sony Styles was going to go earlier than he did. You just never know.
So since Jim and I are both going to pick the Seahawks pick, and I'm going to let Jim go first, I'm going to pick for the Patriots. And really, the Patriots, what can you say was wrong with their team last year? Not a lot. They won, 14 games? They looked pretty good. They made it to the Super Bowl. I think right now the value in this is that if you look at them, they didn't really have any major needs. They could use a wide receiver. They could use an edge. They could use
O-line,
tight ends. I just really like I really like Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle. It's not a desperate need, but they saw how having a great defense can help you win a Super Bowl last year, so I'm just going to go with the Ohio State guy and give that.
Another Ohio State guy in the first.
Yeah. All right, Jim Mitchell-Njigba, we're on the Seahawks. This is our last pick of the draft. You're sitting here with this draft board. You got all these players up and down to choose from. You're John Schneider, the general manager of your defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Who are you taking and why?
Well, we'll go with the why first. I think that they are probably going to need a running back more than anything else, especially trading Walker to the Chief.
Who's RB2?
Catch the Chief. Yep.
I like. I'll tell you what. I like the other running back. The number one running back from Notre Dame. He's already been picked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Love went in the top four. Yeah, Love went fourth.
Yeah, I like probably the second best running back at Notre Dame. I like Jardarian Price.
Jardarian Price, that guy's a freak too.
Way down at 55, Jardarian Price.
I think he's probably the best running back left on the board right now.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. And here's the thing. Here's the thing with this situation. And I'm going to stop sharing this now because I'm also going to take Jadarian Price. I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to fart around with this. I'm not going to screw around here. I'm just going to. Why am I doing that? Why did that happen? I want to get me off.
Because you like that movie Dune, Mike.
No, I don't know why it's doing that.
C minus.
Can you change the configuration? No.
Yes, I can. Let's go.
We're all little. Why am I still sharing? I shouldn't be sharing.
There we go.
Undo the share.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have control, so I can't do this. The Seahawks are stupid. What they did was stupid. They they blew a giant hole in their roster for $5.66 million under the cap. They currently have almost 25 or 30 million under the cap. I know that they're hoping to make some big splash or some trade or still get Max Crosby, but the bottom line is what won them the Super Bowl last year, one of the many factors, but the biggest factor besides the defense was the running game. And right now they have no running game. Their best running back is on fucking crutches, okay? He's probably not going to start the season. Beyond that, Izzy, do you know who the Seahawks starting running back would be if the season started today? You don't. I'll tell you right now. His name is George Holani. The reason you don't know is because he sucks, okay? He's not a frontline player. That's why you don't know his name. Yep. And this was all done as I am not a big fan of John Schneider, as you might be able to tell. If I were the GM, if I was the owner of the Seahawks, Ken Walker would have never made it to free agency. I would have told John Schneider, you have two choices. You either apply the franchise tag to him 5 minutes after I leave the office tonight, or turn in your fucking resignation. I don't care if you just won the Super Bowl, because you're a fucking idiot. So they created this gigantic hole for no reason. And here's the thing, though, Jim. Hear me out, and hear me out, guys. The Seahawks are a very rare team in the sense that they were able to keep at least 90% of their roster intact after winning the Super Bowl. That almost never happens. They have a 1-year window before Cooper Kupp retires, before DeMarcus Lawrence retires, before Leonard Williams probably retires, and when they had Ken Walker in his prime at 25 years old, who was spectacular.
MVP.
And they blew a hole in that roster for no fucking reason, except that John Schneider says, well, I don't pay that much for running backs. Well, you know what else you don't get, John? If I'm the owner, you don't get fucking paid anymore either.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's valid.
So, I mean, am I crazy, Izzy? Or
Nope.
am I just a crazy Seahawks fan? I think my position is completely legitimate. Having said that, they've now got this problem because they have an owner who doesn't understand football and didn't know enough to say no to the guy. So,
can I propose this? How besides the run game from last year, how good was your passing game? Like, could you guys sneak? Like, how much? I'll put it this way: how much did your running game affect how many games you won last year? And could you rely on your passing game?
Make up for the running game? No.
Jackson Smith and Jigba was incredible last year.
Yeah, he's not going to have a better year than that. He could have as good a year or close to it, but he's not going to have as good a year as that.
It's tough to improve.
He's not getting any younger. I don't see how you can make up. Now, there is a guy named Torrey Horton who's a really good football player, but he's also had 2 very serious injuries. Not knee injuries, but injuries. And so if he stays healthy, they can have a very explosive offense still.
And how much did you guys run play action last year?
A lot.
Oh,
all the time.
Man. Yep, and that's a big hole right there, too.
And so this was, to my mind, a monumentally stupid decision by Schneider of the type that he does simply because he didn't believe that they should pay that much for a running back, and he didn't think anybody else would either. That's where he got caught with his pants down. Yeah, he said, "Here you go. Here's $15 million a year. That's the average." The actual cap number is only $5.66 million this year. They got like 15, 20 million burning a hole in their pocket right now.
My question on that, though, Jim, about the running back position, was it more that the Seahawks didn't want to pay that much? They didn't want him, or is it that Kenneth Walker didn't want to be a splitting it 50-50 back, and he wanted to get paid? Was it Kenneth Walker that wanted out, or was it the Seahawks that didn't value him enough?
I believe if Kenneth Walker had been paid fair market value for a player of his stature and talents, he wouldn't have cared as much about the carries. The reason he wanted the carries this past year was because he wanted to make his second contract, and I don't blame him for that. And it worked out in some ways that Charbonnet got injured, so he was able to get the extra carries and show his worth and get paid, which I'm all for him doing.
Yeah, I don't know what the tax structure is in Missouri, and there's talk that they're going to build the new Chiefs Stadium is allegedly in Kansas now.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the tax structure is, but if they would have, if Schneider would have offered him a reasonable deal,
yeah,
I'm sure he would have stayed in Seattle because there's no state there's no state income tax in Washington.
Yeah,
so
and
he's going to take, if he's playing for the same amount of money, which he isn't, going to Missouri.
yeah.
I don't know what the tax base is in Missouri, but there is state income tax in the state of Missouri. So he's going to take a hit either way. But Mike, I heard yesterday on the news that the prospective buyer of the Seahawks, and you better get your funds together, if you're going to end up buying the team. But the owner of the Portland Trailblazers, I heard, is going to throw a bid in, to purchase the team.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me, and there are advantages to having a woman owner who doesn't know anything about football, and there are disadvantages to it. This is one of the times when there's a disadvantage, because I will just be honest, if I was the owner and he told me we're going to let Ken Walker go test free agency, I would have said, no, you're not. No, you're gonna franchise tag him, and we're gonna try to sign him to a 3-year deal. We would have done that, and again, but I'm not a female owner, so I'm not in that position. Billionaire owner, so I'm not in that position. But so the thing is, look, they've blown this giant hole in their roster, and to me, the only way they could stay at this level, 2 ways, Izzy, is if Jadarian Price is 80 or 90% of what Ken Walker was last year.
He's good. Not Ken Walker good, though. Yeah.
But we have to take him. And I got to be honest, the way they're fucking around with it, the way they're talking about, we can't wait to trade out of 32. I have a fear that they're going to trade down to 40, 41, 45, and somebody else is going to take him. Because let me tell you, there's only maybe 4 running backs in this draft that are even worth bothering with, even worth really probably drafting. And I think there's a good possibility all 4 of those guys are gone before we even get to 64 in the second round. So,
and I have a question too. Because Zach Charbonnet, of course, he wasn't anything like Kenneth Walker. No. Do you believe Kenneth Walker's success was mainly because he was Kenneth Walker, or was it because of the system that he was in? So I'm saying, can you get another running back, and can he? Nope.
No.
Nope.
Look,
okay.
I mean, the exceptional runs this guy could pull off were something else. And even there's a guy named Rob Staten who just hates me on his blog, who's a British guy, and he's just always on my case about bitching about Jadarian Price and Kenneth Walker, and I'm like, well, you had a great window. Obviously, things can happen, right? They could get injured. They could come nowhere near the playoffs next year. But if they stay healthy, they had an incredible chance to go back and win another Super Bowl in a row because they're still ahead of everybody else, including the Rams. If they had Ken Walker, without Walker,
it's too bad there's not a scenario, Mike, where they could actually, put enough bullets in their gun where they could actually trade up and get Jeremiah Love. But
I was
Jeremiah
thinking
Love
about
is-
that. Yeah.
Jeremiah Love is going to go in the top 5.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
You got to give
Mel
a lot
Kiper
for
is
that.
kind of projected going to Tennessee
Well,
at number 4.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I would have been willing to do that too. I would have said, "I'll trade you my entire draft if they only have 4 picks. I would have traded the entire draft if I could go get Jeremiah Love. And
Yeah.
just say, that's my
That's
only need.
valid.
I don't need anything else.
Yeah, really.
You know?
I mean, you're
the
Super Bowl
rest-
champion.
Yeah, the rest of the guys I could just fill in with roster depth. Undrafted free agents, and I've got a very deep roster.
Mike,
But they don't have enough
teams
juice
do you
to
think? What teams do you think would be open to sliding back?
No,
Because they're not going a few spots back. They're going from number 4 to 32.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not going to jump up. They're not going to be able to do that.
And if you offer a first round pick next year, it's going to be 32.
Of course, you got to do that.
Look, if Jeremiah Love slips to 16, it's
He's
possible
not
they can
slipping to
trade there, but they have to trade the entire draft. We're not. They're doing this whole thing. Well, we go on principle, and fuck your principles, okay? There's a Super Bowl that close, right? It's that close to win another one.
Yeah,
And-
he's arguably the best player in the draft.
Yeah.
Jeremiah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean,
he's not.
He's not only a great football player. He's a character guy.
right.
He's
Right.
a guy that's not going to embarrass your football team.
And
Yep.
so
No, we discussed that an hour ago.
But for me, it's like you got to get Jadarian Price, and if you try to get cute, Seahawks have tried to get cute before. They thought they were going to get Rashawn Gary or Josh Sweat, back in 2019, and they traded back a whole 6 spots, and both guys were gone like that. So they think they're a lot smarter than they really are. So. I don't know. I'm just frustrated, Izzy, because there was no reason to create a hole in the roster, and they did. And this is why, man, if I did suddenly become a billionaire and I owned the Seahawks, man, there is a certain GM who would be on an extremely short leash. Because remember, another thing too is, we won a Super Bowl. Oh, look at how fantastic we are. Yeah, we won a Super Bowl. Don't forget, Izzy, don't forget that last year in March, they made an offer to Geno Smith to be their quarterback for 2025.
Yep.
He turned them down, and that's
Good.
when they traded him and went and got Sam Darnold. If Geno had accepted that deal, we would.
You wouldn't be here. Nope.
Geno's
And one thing,
the Rams. He's just
One thing I want to add on too is the fact that you're coming off a championship. It kind of seems like the mindset is complacent with that one championship and not really looking towards, hey, let's go back to back. Because if it was the chance to go back to back, he would have resigned Ken Walker and all the other guys. But it's just really interesting to me that it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we won the championship. Okay, it's whatever now.
I think, we've talked about Manchester City, right? My favorite English European football team, English team, right? They have the same problem, which is that the people in charge of Manchester City are like the people in charge of the Seahawks. It's more important to them to look like the smartest guy in the room than it is to just do the smart thing. Just swallow your pride. Just, you know what, Seattle? Just fucking swallow your pride, sit there at 32, and take Jadarian Price.
Yep.
And then the team is complete. Bad things can still happen. You can still have injuries. But at least you did your best to put the best out there to try to win again. So,
Yep. Okay.
I'm frustrated. And I think, Jim, I don't know if you agree with me on most of this or not.
I'm not as down on Schneider as you are, Mike. I mean, after all, they did win the Super Bowl, and
Yeah.
results are results.
Well, yeah, and there was some luck involved. Thank God the Vikings just handed us Sam Darnold, who was good enough to win
I
the Super
don't
Bowl.
want to downplay the Patriots, but the Super Bowl was kind of a cakewalk,
Yeah.
and Izzy went ahead and bet his mortgage on the Super Bowl, and Izzy was correct, and you and I played it a little bit more conservatively. You know, I went ahead and threw everything I had on the Seahawks on the money line because I thought that was a sure bet, and that came in.
Well,
You know,
I mortgaged my house. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I didn't.
yeah. Well, I don't have a mortgage, so
Yeah. So that must be nice. So, what do you guys think of the state of your team? I mean, if you look at how this draft comes out, I think we still got it here. Do I still have it? Yeah. If we look at your Browns, where are your Browns?
I would be thrilled if we got 2 linemen and 1 wide receiver, 2 wide receivers and 1 lineman. It's just clearly where we need help on the team.
Yeah.
Jordan
Tyson,
but it's not.
Jordan Tyson and Casey Concepcion, you'd be happy. You'd be real happy with that.
Because we need to revamp that whole wide receiver room. We absolutely do. And Jerry Judy's kind of at the middle to tail end of like the extension that he had. But he's not a number 1. His fall off last year is because he's playing out of position. He's not a 1. Doesn't mean he's bad. It just means he needs some help. Of course he needs some help. And
So, Brian-
so does Dylan Gabriel, so does Deshaun Watson, whoever gets this job. And that's if we don't take Ty Simpson in the second round and, find a way to give him a chance to compete as the new guy with the new regime. Why not? Wouldn't that be possible? Of course it could. But
So,
I'd be
Brian, who is
a receiver.
who is the Monken going to start at quarterback? I mean, he's
Whoever
gonna-
wins. Whoever wins it. I mean, Shador. It's Shador. Flip a coin. Probably Shador.
Because he's younger?
I mean, we're still heavily pot committed. I'm trying to get Mike's screen up here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it off too.
Let me remove this one as a source because it's like locked up.
Well, I think they're still trying to move Watson, but he's just too damn expensive. I mean,
We're not trying to move Watson. Nobody wants him. So we have to rebuild that player.
Well, nobody wants him, including the Browns.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was actually playing okay before he got injured with that last injury. He was doing okay for a couple.
Still, me personally, that trade and that deal was the 2 worst trades and deals in, I believe, NFL history.
Which
next to Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker to Minnesota.
Herschel Walker, yeah, I was gonna say. Besides that, that's like, man, why would you do that?
I agree. Those are the top 2 right there.
Well, what about trades that weren't made? Because the Eagles offered the Seahawks 2 first rounds, 2 second round picks, and a third for Brian Bosworth, and they said no. The Seahawks said no, and Bosworth was out of football 2 years later with destroyed shoulders from the steroids. So
Yep.
that's a pretty bad trade that wasn't made.
Well, I want to put off for the Cowboys. My point is that I mean the draft that we just had. If we scratch anywhere near Stoney Styles or Caleb Downs, I'm happy. I really don't mind who we get after that. Of course, who we get after that does matter later on. But if we can land one of those Ohio State guys, I'm completely fine. But right now, it's looking like if we don't trade up, we're gonna get and nobody drops, we're gonna get Mansour Delane, and I'm fine with that too. We do need a corner, but to be honest, I mean, we finished 7-9-1 last year. The Eagles finished 11-6. Both those 2 teams have their flaws. There's some talks about George Pickens. We still haven't even signed the guy yet. And it's like, what are we doing? He was a big part of our offense.
They're not going to be talking about contract extension anymore. They're done. That just front page ESPN right now.
So what does that mean?
We're going to find out.
There's not going to be an extension this year. He's going to play on his contract.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I bet you he's going to ball out, or Jerry does some BS. I heard Des Bryant talk how he was in a contract year and they were like playing some politics, not getting him the ball. So, it depends how it goes out.
Jerry will talk some BS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, but we do get a new defensive coordinator from the Eagles. We take the Eagles defensive coordinator. So that's way better than Matt Eberflus. Our defense was the biggest problem. I mean, we put up, second, third most points in the NFL this year, and we finished 7-9. So, I mean, I'm fine with whoever we get. Whatever happens this year, whatever happens. I'm not looking for anything spectacular. So,
yeah.
Oh, also in our division, Mike, did you see Trent Williams signed a 2-year, $50 million deal?
How does he
Yeah,
keep getting
I
contract?
he's old. He's like old and slow.
Yeah, I think he's 35.
I mean, I think he's still a serviceable player.
I
But
think he's good, but it's like
that much
even though
a serviceable player. I mean, I don't get it.
yeah,
He-
and the
He's
contract.
a good player. He's a
Go ahead.
good. He's a good locker room guy. He's oh yeah. Williams is he's a good team dude. I mean, he's probably the top 5 player on the team. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know,
As far as character on the field, I believe he's one of the bottom characters on the field against opponents.
yeah, he's not a great guy.
By the way, I like that meme. I don't know if you saw it, but it was if the aliens do come down, who are we gonna send as our representative? And someone's like, Kirk Cousins' agent.
Yeah,
Like that is the smartest person in any room. He's gonna outsmart everybody.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins' agent represents humanity. Go.
We're gonna make a fortune.
Well, I don't want to tout your show too much, Brian, but I believe we had that one too. Kirk Cousins to the Raiders.
Yeah,
Yep.
We had that one also.
Jim, you want to feel really sick to your stomach?
Go ahead.
When Trent Williams came out in the draft, he went 4th. The 5th pick was held by the Seattle Seahawks. They ended up with Russell Okung. They could have had Trent Williams if only the 49ers had been stupid. Imagine
Russell Okung.
Russell Okung, who wasn't a bad player, but
Didn't
he
he
was.
ultimately end up with the Jets?
Yeah. It's weird too. He lost 80 pounds or something. He's skinny now. It's really weird. So anyway, all right, gentlemen, thank you for the show. It was loads of fun. I felt terrible, but hopefully I'll feel good tomorrow.
Hopefully you feel better.
Yeah,
Get through it.
It's just some weird thing going on that
You're a trooper.
can't help. So,
We appreciate having you.
it's always fun to talk about football with my boys here.
Absolutely.
No
And
problem.
I'm going to be live tomorrow during the draft. So if anyone wants to check it out, come on in. You guys are all going to be partying with your friends. If you want to just jump in, I'll send the link. If you just want to click
Sure.
and pop in for a minute or two and give us like, what's your quick take on whoever?
Yeah, well, send us the link and also, send it via text message and via email.
I
And-
will do it by both, and all 3 of you are invited. And
If
no homework for you, just fun opportunity.
If me, Mike, and Dave and Regina are having dinner, Mike's pretty good with the phone. Maybe he can
Oh yeah, we could
hit the link and we'll chime in.
check that.
I want to also stay. So I'll leave for the Air Force in a 3-4 weeks. I'm not sure how my schedule will look for next year, but try to make something seem how it works. So
All right.
make something work.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show and talking
You do
Cowboys,
this,
and we'll catch you when we can, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you for having me on. This has been a pleasure. A wonderful time.
You going to Lackland is?
Yep, Lachlan. And then after, I'm going up to Shepherd for a couple months.
Catch a couple of Cowboy games.
Yeah, well, yeah, first time. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Nice facility down there.
Well,
All right. Well,
Tell Jerry I said hi, all right?
Yep, no problem. I got you.
Sarah.
Well, thank you all for being here, Mike. Best wishes to you. What's your next show? What should people check out?
I'm taking the week off till I'm normal again. So
Good.
I don't know. I'm just like
Mike's drinking beer tomorrow night and Mexican food. We're going to have some.
hopefully beer and Mexican food. Hopefully.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. We'll be live. I will be live, and they may join for the NFL Draft Round 1. So check it out in the evening. Signing out on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM universe for the New American Media and the Unhappy Hour. Strictly Football appreciates you, loves you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take
All
care,
right,
everybody.
peace. Nice having you guys. All right.
Take care, is.
Bye.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Hi, this is Eric Metcalf, and you're watching Unhappy Hour.
the New American Media is proud to present a division of the Unhappy Hour sports show, Strictly Football.
It's the Unhappy Hour.